to the three different, I got that, to the three different, so it sounds like everything really is contingent on the other section. We have the three sections here, which are the opportunity, the team, and the financing, or the economic model, and it seems like everything is contingent on the other sections. So where do we start?
You're exactly correct. You do start writing up the opportunity, and you will always discover when you're doing that, whether it's research on the internet, whether it's polling, whether it's just we've been in business for 10 years and here's what we've got, that as you start to write that out, changes occur. When you move on to the team, you'll discover, my goodness, the team we've got can't do some of the things that we had thought were the opportunity. That may be bad, it may be good. You may have found something more important, more critical, more capable of selling or marketing than you had originally thought. So you begin to change. As you move to the pro forma and you see the numbers, they don't work. Did they not work because we didn't project enough sales? Or, for example, there aren't enough sales. I would say that 20% of the people who come to me and talk about a startup, I have to advise them that they should stay in the job that they've got.
Okay, and is that because there's not enough of a marketplace?
There's not enough of the marketplace usually, or they don't have the experience.
But you can hire for the experience, right? Hire a team?
You can hire, but a team, just as I said, a consultant has to be directed. Employees, no matter how highly paid, have to be directed.
Okay, okay. Well, let's go back to team and the selection of a team. How do we select a team?
How do we select a team? First of all, obviously we can do the tried and true. We can get references. We can get recommendations about team members. But this goes back to how you interview that team to determine whether that person, assuming everyone is competent now that you're talking with, can they do the job? Do they disagree with the policy or objectives that you have? Will they follow your lead? Will they fit? How will they treat the people below them? Can they continually create the team? If you have conflict among the members of your team, then you're doomed to failure again because they're spending the time being non-productive.
Right. Do they also have to buy into the vision of the opportunity and the financing sections? If you're talking to, let's say, a senior manager that you want to bring in, do you show them these sections in order to say, can you manage to this opportunity?
Yes, I know that some executives like to keep people in the dark. That's a big mistake. If you're trying to build teamwork, you need to be open. You need to hear what people have to say. You need to bring them on board. You need to have them committed. People don't make commitments in a dark room. They want the light on. Turn the light on so they can make the commitment.
Okay. Okay, great. So let's talk a little bit about the economic section of our business plan, which is the final section. What are some of the things that should go into that section?
Well, first, before we talk about what should go into it, may we talk about what should be in it when we're all done?
Sure.
Okay. The first thing, in today's environment where banks, for example, are changing their MO. They're looking within the community and talking about their fiduciary obligations to their constituents. So the first thing we want to look at when our pro forma is done is, does the executive make an income? Does he or she have a livelihood? Why? If you can't buy groceries, you won't pay back a loan. So the first thing is an income. Second, you need to see that there is sufficient cash flow to repay a debt if you borrowed funds, or to provide investors with their return on investment. Third, if it's your capital, you need a return on investment. If you, when you're all done, don't have those three factors covered, then you shouldn't be in business.
Right. So banks are really looking at, personally, do you have the personal finances to actually establish this company and keep it afloat and keep groceries on the table for your kids or for yourself even?
Correct.
Right. So what else should we have in the finance section?
We should lay out in that financing section every single assumption that we're making in terms of economics, whether those are assumptions we need 1 employee or 50 employees. We should lay out our assumption after we've established the business opportunity, we're going to capture X or Y or 10% of that opportunity. And we've shown how in marketing that's a rational or reasonable belief, so that as we project our revenues, we can apply that against, as I said, 10 employees, for example,
right.
Our rental space, that we brought every single real factor. So many times I hear people say, or they'll come to me, well, we've done our numbers, and I will say, great, what's your rent? They'll say, $20 a square foot. I'll say, well, and that's it? Yes. Well, no, that's not it. What happened to the utilities? What happened to the pass-through cost? What happened to the inflation that's built into a lease? So we force every expense that we know is there so that our numbers jump out, so that if someone is loaning us money, they think we're creditable.
Right. Right. So they don't necessarily, a trained eye would see holes if you just said my rent is $20 a square foot.
Exactly.
Right. So then they think that, okay, well, there must be problems with other facets of this plan because they didn't have this simple information in the pro forma.
And you go on to show you how minute you must get this down to. When you start a business, no one just starts at a run. There's always a build-up period, so that a good pro forma shows during your operations when you're going to add the people, at what juncture, at what volume section, at what number of hours do we stop paying overtime and hire the one person, that added one person. Then a risk analyst says, gosh, this person knows how to run a business.
Right. And I imagine that talking through all of that as we're creating our business plans, it really causes us to think about what we're actually going to do in those what-if scenarios.
It causes us to think, and it causes us to remain proactive managers. I get called in frequently for what we call turnaround situations, where a company has been successful, its earnings plateaued, and now they're going south. Inevitably, I will always discover that senior management stopped being proactive and became reactive in their management. And now we're back to my example of the telephone. All they wanted to do was answer the telephone. They forgot what they were going to say after they answered the phone.
Great. So does it make sense after we've done this business plan, and let's say that we are fortunate enough to get the capital that we're looking for, does it make sense to periodically review the plan and update it? And if so, how often should we be doing that?
You should update your business plan every quarter. At a minimum, it should be done every year. I tell people if your business is going to grow, your last year is the foundation for a new floor.
Okay. And tell us the greatest success story that you've had in your own consulting business, because we know that you have the Values Group, and I love the name of that company. What's the greatest success story you've had as far as creating business plans?
Greatest success story, simply because it was numbers. A client came to me. He had been seeking $1 million loan. He had applied to 3 banks and got a turn down from all 3 banks. By the time I had finished with his business plan, all 3 banks reversed themselves and offered him the money that he was seeking. Wow.
So, I mean, that's an amazing story. Obviously, you were worth your weight in gold and silver and platinum and everything else, right?
Oh, I hope so. You forgot diamonds.
And diamonds, too, yes. And how long does that process take, just out of curiosity? If someone were to come to you, how long does it take for you to help us put our business plans together?
Business plans are not painting by numbers. They're original art. So just like you had opened and said some business plans are a few pages, some are an encyclopedia, if you will. In the case of the turnaround that I told you of the 3 banks, we had that done in a month's time.
Wow, fantastic. So that wasn't very long at all. That
one wasn't very long at all. But I've worked on a business plan for as long as 6 months.
Wow. Well, we don't want to scare anybody. So don't think you necessarily have to work on a business plan for 6 months.
No.
Okay. Final question is, tell us a little bit about how we can get in touch with you. Do you have a phone number or email address that we can reach out to you?
Sure. The office phone number is 703-680-7207. The cell is 703.
He's putting his cell on national TV.
216-3592. I answer all my calls myself, by the way.
Great.
Email is easy, larryfox@comcast.net.
Great. Thank you so much. And we're just going to wrap up here to say that business plans are essential to our success. As our guest Larry has said today, the more we plan, the more successful that we'll be. Because the truth is, a lot of times we don't plan to fail, we just fail to plan. So for us to actually beat the odds and have a successful business, be that 5% that actually makes it, we have to have a plan. Thank you very much. Again, my name is Cherie, also known as the Profit Partner, where we help to grow 6-figure businesses in 12 months or less. Thank you, and have a prosperous day.